is Assistive Video Filters for Parkinson's Disease Patients, A Right Time and a Place by Xiaofei, Wasifur, and me. So I'd like to give you a roadmap of the presentation. I'll give you an overview of the project. And then Xiaofei will take us into the PD patient interviews. Wasifur will do the high fidelity prototype, and hopefully there's time and we can look at the quantitative analysis of the survey responses. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. So let's talk a little bit about the motivation. Meet Susan. She's 42 years old, in the height of her life, great family, and she's diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She does commercial sales to earn a living for her family, and she is unfortunately the only provider of income because her family she's divorced with her husband. She gets diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and at first, when she was maybe 37, her tremors weren't that bad, but now they're getting worse. Now that the pandemic has hit, all of her sales are online through video conferencing calls. Meet Bob. Bob is a professor at a distinguished university who is about 57. He just recently has been having a real hard time with his voice and shaking a lot. Due to the pandemic, all classes are online, and if he could offer his students videos of himself without shaking, he'd like to do that for their understanding. Lastly, meet Linda. Linda is a proud grandma of 7 grandchildren. They're very young. She's been diagnosed with Parkinson's for 20 years, but only recently has she really started shaking due to bradykinesia. She has young grandchildren, and now that the pandemic has hit, she can only see them through video conferencing, video calls. She doesn't want to scare them. What do all these people have in common is they could truly benefit from a video filtering technology to smooth out physical or vocal tremors. For Susan, she could increase her ability to earn income and provide for her family. For Bob, he could provide lecture videos that were more understandable for his students. And Linda gets the chance to not scare her grandchildren. So I'm sure you're all wondering, a right time and a place. Well, when's the right time and where? Here and now. The pandemic has brought on a huge shift of behavior. We're now doing a lot of our communication remotely via conferencing. And due to the convenience that we've experienced, it's likely that this is here to stay for a variety of reasons. So, what is our research question? What are the ethical implications of applying filters to videos of people with Parkinson's disease to smooth out their physical and vocal tremors? And are people with Parkinson's disease interested in using this technology? What we have done, so we surveyed 177 PD patients through RedCap. We surveyed 107 non-PD patients through Amazon Mechanical Turk. We have personally interviewed more than 50 PD patients. We have also developed a high fidelity prototype to provide some proof that these filters will soon be here. So I will now set the stage before I hand it off to Xiaofei. I can't take any credit for making this video. This is from Adira and Sarah. But during our in-person interviews, you can imagine there's a huge disconnect between Parkinson's disease patients who happen to be older and do they understand what we mean when we say a filter. So to make sure that we're all on the same page, I'll play this for you now.
Hello, we are testing a voice filter.
Hello, we are testing a voice filter.
Now you can imagine the same sorts of technology can be harnessed to remove visible symptoms of tremors in videos and also smooth out voice fluctuations. All right, Xiaofei.
Sure. So, So we have interviewed around 50 Parkinson's disease patients and asked about their opinions on tremor removal filter and also voice enhancing filter, and asking them about what they think about applying such filters for themselves and others applying such filters on them, and also they applying such filters on other Parkinson's disease patients. And the results that we got is kind of a spectrum of opinions. So on the positive side, we have many patients who think there's no ethical concerns and such filters is definitely aiding communication. And they also provide the reason that they think such technology can aid communication. First of all, for the tremor removal filter, one patient mentioned that if her tremors can be removed, then the person she wants to convey some information to will have less will receive less distraction. And about voice enhancing filter, one patient told us a story, like a very sad story that he is currently experiencing, because he had many occasions where his audience, meaning his friends or family, has to ask him to repeat himself. It becomes a real problem in that he started to feel marginalized because they may just say that's enough and pass over that and move on, which is really problematic for him to communicate with others. And another major benefits that we identified from the interviews is that the filters can make the patients confident and comfortable. Some patients mentioned that they are personally ashamed of their dyskinesias or their tremors in front of others. So they want to use the filter to remove the tremors. And also one patient mentioned that most people have some embarrassment with their disease symptoms, and the filter wouldn't change her identity, but can make her more comfortable. And as a result of making patients more confident and comfortable, the tremor filter could even have a physical impact. So one patient mentioned that her symptoms absolutely increase when she is more nervous or self-conscious. So using the filter could actually have a physical impact for her. However, some patients also have mixed feelings. One major ethical issue that they proposed during the interview is about dishonesty. For example, about being dishonesty for their friends who cared about them. One patient is worrying that he has friends that say, oh, you are not shaking anymore, you are all better, when he is not actually all better. And also some patients mentioned that the filter, if using such filter for job interviews, then it's kind of dishonest. And if you are using such deceiving filter for someone who is making a decision about you, that could also be problematic. However, these patients also come up with the situations when they want to use the technologies and they don't think that is considered as dishonesty. For example, Anderson, he wouldn't use it when he's working with his neurologist, but he might use it when talking to very young people who might be afraid. And Megan also wants to use it when talking to her grandkids to not scare them, but only if she was more disabled though. And Jenna, she mentioned that if she wants to make a presentation video for her kids for after she died, then she wants to make a memory for them with their mother without shaking. So this is a positive use cases for the tremor removal filter. And some patients also mentioned that they absolutely want to have control over the filters, which means that they don't want others to apply the filters. For example, Ryan said, I don't like people having control over me, so I would not like you to be able to put a filter on me. I'm of the thought that if someone is having trouble understanding me, then they need to say that to me so that I know what to do about it. If the filters make me more understandable to other people, then absolutely, I want to use it. And on the other side of the spectrum, there are some patients think the filters is kind of cosmetic and offensive. For example, Erica thinks the idea is pretty offensive, implies that the tremors are shameful and that you need to change. I would be alarmed if I felt that I needed the filter. I work on my self-acceptance. And also Lydia mentioned that she definitely will not apply such filter on someone else, very inappropriate and pointing out their flaws. However, Erica also comes up with a very unique and innovative way to use the filter for educational purpose. She said like the original usage of filter to remove tremors is kind of offensive for her, but use it as an educational tool to create tremors on people and make them more aware of what it likes to have Parkinson's disease. Use it to raise other people the awareness of such disease. This would be a very meaningful way to use the filters. And now I think it's Wasif's.
Yep, I am controlling. I'm requesting for control. Please.
Let me quit the control. Stop remote. Yeah.
Wasifur is requesting remote control. There you are, sir.
Let's hope that it runs. Yes, it is. Okay, so before, so describing the output, so just a few notes so that we are on the same page. So in the left of the screen, you can see Kurt, and this is an original video. So this is like real, where Kurt is doing some motions, giving a talk. And in the right, you can see Dan, and Dan is a Parkinson patient, and the entire video in the right is fake. It is completely generated. And in the video, what are we trying to do is we'll copy Kurt's pose on Dan. So essentially, we'll see Dan making the same poses as Kurt. And it actually indirectly tackles the tremor removal issue in the sense that Kurt does not have tremor. So if you just copy Kurt's motion to Dan, then he will not have tremor. So that's one interesting application. Also, so the goal of the project was to just to show that such a technology is coming in the future. And it's not entirely tremor removal. Tremor removal is just an application of the technology. Also, the technology is not perfect, so keep your expectations low. And they're almost synced, the motions, but Kurt is a bit forward, and Dan will copy.
You know, normally I'd be dressing up and coming into the lab, but it's the pandemic, so like here I am doing this. They're copying my body positioning and not my words, so I suppose I'll just give a talk, not trying to be fancy here. Right now we'll start the talk. So what am I going to tell you about? Well, we're doing this. That's
basically it. That's basically the output. And I'm not showing the technical details this time because we are short on time. Yeah, so any question on it? Okay, I'm relinquishing control.
Okay, thank you, Wasi.
T-shirt, yeah.
So, great, we got 5 minutes. Let's dive into a little bit of the quant. So to remind you, we surveyed 177 PD patients and 107 non-PD patients, who we did on Amazon Mechanical Turk. We'll begin with the non-PD patients. This is the video that we showed to them, and then we asked them questions about the video.
And ultimately, you find happiness for a fleeting time with those things, but happiness comes from within. And I know that's a massive, massive cliche, and probably everyone's told you it 1,000 times. But if you're happy in yourself and who you are, then you promote happiness to other people, and that comes back to you sevenfold. The people around you will be happier as well. And ultimately,
okay, so we'll start with the non-PD. What did we do? We sent out a survey with questions on a Likert scale from 1 to 5. And when we say convergence of opinion, what does that mean? Well, we took the 1 to 5 scale and we broke it into a agree, disagree for each question. where the 1 and 2 would represent disagree and the 4 and 5 would represent agree. Then we throw out the neutral responses. And then we execute a proportion z-test comparing the proportions. Our null hypothesis is that there is no difference of opinion. In other words, the people that agreed to the question were the same as the people that disagreed. So that ratio is 0.5, right? So what are we showing you here is when this is not the case, when there's been such a convergence of opinion that we have to talk about it. So I think people could probably agree that for the video we saw, yes, I myself was looking at the tremors often. These are just, size values. I found the tremors to be distracting. Yes. Interestingly, I understood the content of the video. Yes. The speaker should have the option to remove the tremors from the video. Yes. I perceive the speaker as competent. Yes. Okay, well, we asked them some other questions, and this is the case where no difference of opinion happened. So these are interesting because we see here removing the tremors from the video would help me understand the content better. So with a p-value that high, you can imagine that the agree and disagree are roughly the same. Same goes for I would like to have the option to remove the tremors from the video. Okay, and this one, the speaker would appear more competent if the tremors were removed from the video. Most people were disagreeing, but it was not statistically significant. So what did the Parkinson's disease patient have to say about this, right? So when we go to, would they like to have the, again, convergence of opinion is just the number of agree is a lot more than the number that disagreed. So I would like to have the option to remove tremors from videos of myself. Overwhelmingly, yes. This one is starred for a reason. I would like for viewers to have the option to remove tremors from a video of myself. If you recall on the previous slide, that was where there was a difference, agree and disagree were roughly equal. And I can see that. It's like, well, I don't want the other person to think that it's offensive to them. But what's interesting is the Parkinson's disease patients overwhelmingly think that the person, they would want someone to have that option, which goes back to a lot of Xiaofei's points that she made. So this one is also crucial. I feel like my tremors cause others to perceive me as less competent. Also, yes. Okay, so if we could develop a tremor removal filter to help with that, it would be valuable. So where there was no difference in opinion, we asked them about how tremors affect their level of confidence, and it was 0.5. I think most people disagreed to it. So now we're going to do a quick PD and non-PD comparison. So what do we do for this one? Well, for each row in the table, we combined the questions into, we do the agree, disagree part to discrete it, and we do a proportion z-test. So the side-by-side comparisons show that not only do the Parkinson's disease patient want to have the option, the speaker, the non-PD patients agree that they should have it. This one, because of the strength, which we'll get to in the last slide, and I'll wrap it up, it's 5:15. So for giving viewers the option, and I would like to have the option overall, when you compare them together, it is a yes. I feel like my tremors cause others to perceive me as less competent, and it is also agreed that the speaker would appear more competent if the tremors were removed. So that was proportion z-test. We also did a not a Bonferroni, but we might have put a Bonferroni correction. We did a Mann-Whitney, where we compared the distribution of the strength 1 to 5. And I think all of these are very interesting, right? What are these things saying? Is for the question on the right column, who had the stronger opinion and what was that p-value? So it was the non-PD patients that had a stronger opinion that the speaker should have the option to remove the tremors from the video, which is interesting because maybe you would think that the Parkinson's disease patients would feel more strongly about having that option. For the second row down, we see that it's the PD patients that had the strong opinion. I think this was a huge question we were out to answer, is like, would PD patients find it offensive if someone used the filter on them to remove the tremors? But here we see that they have a stronger opinion for them giving viewers the option to remove tremors from videos of themselves compared to the people who wanted the option to remove it, which shouldn't be surprising because if we go back to the original one where there wasn't a difference, the above 9 p-value suggested that there was roughly equal for agree, disagree. Lastly, And this is huge, right? The PD patients were more strongly in favor of, I feel like my tremors cause others to perceive me as less confident, compared to the general public, who said, well, if they were removed, they would appear more confident. Okay, sorry for going a little bit over, but that's everything. I'd like to open it up for a Q&A.